Tonight, join Goldie Hawn and Bruce Willis in the Oscar-winning comedy Death Becomes Her.
I'm a girl.
Hello and welcome to VHS Review, now coming to you in stunning high definition, while still retaining the superior 4:3 aspect ratio, a combination no one asked for. And it's all thanks to these fantastic new cameras I bought. Check this out. Whoa! Pretty good, huh? Alright, enough of that. Cut to camera 2. No, that's not supposed to... Right. And thank you very much to my supporters on Patreon, without whom these additional pixels would not be possible. But now, today's tape. For Christ. Today's VHS tape from the Alexis Kotlowy library contains a 1997 broadcast of the 1992 black comedy fantasy motion picture Death Becomes Her. It's highly likely I watched this very Channel 10 Adelaide broadcast myself at the time. In fact, I recall Death Becomes Her was just one of those movies that was always on TV. They literally must have aired it every 6 months during the latter half of the 90s. Tedious tidbit, in 1996 it was actually the 21st highest rating Australian TV broadcast of the year. Making that list now is an achievement impossible for anything that isn't sport or the shittest of reality shows. But it is a great movie. I mean, Meryl Streep, say no more. But I will anyway. Goldie Hawn.
I have a hole in my stomach!
An uncharacteristically anxious Bruce Willis.
It's a miracle!
Isabella Rossellini.
I am 71 years old.
And Academy Award-winning special effects, all directed by the great Robert Zemeckis and scored by longtime collaborator and human soundtrack machine Alan Silvestri. Perhaps second only to Back to the Future as his most iconic theme song, in my opinion. But as always on VHS Review, it's about the ads in between. 1997, when the world was river dancing, eating craves, and using payphones.
Want to get your hands on the world's smallest digital mobile? Get hold of the new GF788 from Ericsson.
Probably the only reason you'd need a payphone today. Although, bit of an amateur, everyone knows you don't even need a coin if you're just making a prank call. And if you're calling a landline, if you just walk away and leave the phone off the hook, ties up their line for 5 minutes.
Try it yourself.
Hello?
Yeah, g'day David, it's Andy Matthews. Just further to what you were saying, did you know that since August 2021 Telstra payphones are actually completely free to use?
No, I didn't. What is this, The Checkout? Which is a TV show about consumer affairs that you worked on several years ago?
Yeah, so if you want to get a message to someone, you can just pick up a payphone and it won't cost you a thing. Or you can do what I'm doing right now and record a video on your phone and then email it.
Sounds pretty tedious.
It sure is.
Speaking of telecommunications, the biggest thing that happened in Australia in the mid-90s, aside from having to add an 8 to the start of every phone number...
Or a 9 or a 3, depending on where you live. Fun fact, actually, in Tasmania, we had to add 6-2.
Yes, thank you, Andy. Hang on. If the calls are free, why is it still called a payphone? Anyway, the biggest thing was Telecom's rebranding to Telstra ahead of its privatisation by the Howard government. And this accompanying PR campaign you might remember.
Making it easier to talk.
Why do we have to keep getting better? Why do we have to find new ways of bringing people together? Why?
To
provided you're a shareholder. Also note, Telstra is the only phone company that still supports phrenology as part of its legacy system. I assume so they can better understand the bumps on their customers' skulls after they've been bashing their heads against a wall waiting for the technician to turn up and fix the damn internet.
That's it! Early days, mate.
Football, as we know it, has changed. The battle lines are drawn. The state now stands forever divided. But no matter what changes, one thing will always remain the same. End Draught.
Bitter end for a South Aussie icon.
Well, it's not life or death, is it, mate? Nah, mate. It's more important.
A more palatable showdown back in the day was the battle for the South Australian milk-based beverage market. There was one clear winner. This wasn't it.
Oh, there you go. Greater love has no man. One for you, and one for me.
Not hard on the coffee, are you?
Sorry, Ron, I think I saw you in Grumpy Your Old Man. Thank you very much. Yibbida yibbida, DV. Okay?
Prefer Farmers Union myself.
You idiot, David.
Murderer's choice. A good TV commercial leaves you inspired and energized, like you can just grab life by the balls. Which is what I assumed happened to this bloke.
This month's Cosmo will help you get inside a man's head, so you can get the inside story on male lust. Find out just what he means when he says, I love you, and know all there is to know about men's bodies. Like, did you know 250 million sperm are released at orgasm? So that's why he's so tired after sex.
All about men, free with this month's Cosmo.
That's terrible.
One thing I certainly miss about the 90s was the sense of carefree living. You know, whether it be the smell of cigarette smoke in pubs or the jagged metal bars and wood treated with arsenic that comprised the typical children's playground of the era, to being able to walk between train carriages or even just parking your truck full of fertiliser right outside a government building. No one gave a second thought that those things might be dangerous in some way. Forget about it now. The bloody PC brigade have come in and either fenced it off or wrapped it in bubble wrap. No, sir. These days, a fair dinkum manufacturing job like this would no doubt be cancelled.
Inexperienced workers are too often blind to the dangers of their jobs. They're sent in without the training to do their work safely. And without training, accidents are more likely to happen. It's time we all opened our eyes to the value of training. Don't let their first day be their worst day.
Phone the New Worker hotline for information and advice.
More like woke cover. If only that guy wasn't as heavy-handed as that metaphor, he might still have his. Could have been worse, though. He could have been with Westpac.
I'll just pay for the petrol. With a Westpac Classic Plus account, you can do all the living you want for a $5 flat monthly fee. Westpac Classic Plus, all the living you want for a $5 flat monthly fee.
They do know what a flat line on an ECG machine means, right? I guess if you don't have a heart, how are you supposed to know these things? Anyway, let's have a cute one to finish on. Yeah, just like in real life. Either that or the polar bear would be drinking a Bundy. Bye.
It's a David M. Green production.
I don't think he's coming back.